We already touched AI in a couple of your answers, but if we go to the core data science, that is the very beginning of the journey with AI, what is your take on the concept of citizen data scientist? Is it a viable one? Does it live to expectation? Is there something else that needs to happen to realize it?
Well, I think it's a great concept, but I also think that being a data scientist is a full-time job. For instance, there is no such thing as a citizen accountant, doesn't really exist, or a citizen lawyer doesn't really exist. So I think being a data scientist is a full-time job. Analyzing data and putting models in production is really hard work. It's complex. It requires time, experience, and expertise, and you really can't do it on top of your daily job. That's just not possible. So for instance, at Eramet, we train metallurgists and geologists in data science for 1 year, as I said. And at the end of the program, they were able to code quite well in Python, analyze complex data, build a machine learning model, understand the pros and cons of different types of techniques. So, they are the basis to be a data scientist, right? They have the knowledge. But then when it comes to put models in production, they come to my team because they just don't have time. They have another full-time job. They are metallurgists, they are an accountant, geologist. So if they try to develop a data product themselves, their manager will tell them to focus on their job as a metallurgist instead of spending hours coding code in Python, right? So I still believe that people in many businesses can be trained enough in data analytics so they understand how it works and eventually change careers. Or the data scientists also become business experts and become metallurgists eventually. But I believe more in a self-service BI or citizen data analyst, which probably is someone a bit simpler or less time consuming or less technical. And it still requires a huge amount of work on the data management and governance side to structure data. So it's really for the business users or the citizen data analyst to make use of. So citizen data scientist, I think that could be great, but it requires a full-time job, and that sounds a bit difficult to me to add this like a data scientist hat to someone who already has a full-time job.
I fully agree with you. At the same time, I am a bit surprised with the answer because one of the questions on the market is that the adoption doesn't progress, or this vision of citizen data scientist doesn't realize because of one obstacle, and it is a lack of mathematical apparatus in most of the populations that we have. The way to get there in terms of using mathematics, even simple coding like Python, is still too much for average business user. It is not the case in your industry. You said these are engineers. They are very often, they have engineering background, physics, mathematics, so they probably do have an apparatus.
Yes.
And what I'm hearing is that still the clue is not there because they will not be building full production systems. They may experiment with the data, which might be the case. It can help them along, but the productionizing data science still needs to happen in a separate, dedicated effort. Which I think maybe is very interesting insight.
Yeah, maybe eventually there will be low-code solutions that just with drag and drop, maybe a geologist or a miner or a metallurgist can eventually just put models in production with a few clicks. But I think we are still very far from there. And right now, I think data scientist is a full-time job, especially if you want to go to the putting models in production. Again, I believe that a metallurgist, a geologist, or someone in business can do very sophisticated data analysis, do descriptive analytics, also do diagnosis of root causes and so on. So relatively complex analysis, but then raising a data product, something that's going to be in production and used on a daily basis on the cloud and being monitored, that's really a full-time job.
I fully agree. Thank you for that answer. So we've come through all of our questions. I would like to thank Jean-Loup for joining me today. And for all our viewers, please visit cdaomagazine.tech for additional interviews and content. Thank you.
Thank you for having me today.